Hello and welcome back to another video here in our Yu-Gi-Oh! Studio as we discuss the new set Crossover Breakers. And I am joined by Leo in the studio, who is going to be teaching me one of the three main deck types that you can build in this set. Leo, tell us a little bit more.
Well, first of all, we're going to start with one of my favorites from these three archetypes. There are only three, so...
Easy to remember. Okay, so which one are we starting with?
We're going to start off with Ryzeal. It is a heavily anticipated deck, and it is one of the ones that are less complicated to play, I want to say. However, still one of the strongest decks out there as soon as it comes out on the 5th of December.
Okay, interesting. So tell us a little bit about what's the main sort of play style of Ryzeals?
Ryzeals are all about rank 4.
Okay.
Everything is about rank 4. You want to rank 4 every single monster that you have the entire time. There is probably going to be like one link monster that you might be playing in your extra deck, because there are a few cards in your deck that don't lock you into rank 4 exceeds. However, most of the time it's rank 4 exceeds. And we've had a phenomenal history of rank 4 exceeds cards in the past.
That is true. So basically, I'm imagining a lot of these Ryzeal cards are level 4 that have effects to get more level 4s out, so then you could just
You're a smart
overlay
one,
them.
Ed.
Ah, see, it all works together. Okay, so take us through some of the main cards that we're going to be seeing in some of these plays.
Okay, so my favorite one to start with is the Ice Ryzeal. Funnily enough, this is a Pyro type monster, so that you can search it with Bonfire.
Wow, okay, interesting. So that's a good way of kicking things off. An ice card called Pyro. I've got that the wrong way around. A Pyro card called Ice. Who knew? Okay, so this is one of the main sort of one-card combo starters in this deck. Okay, so where do you go from here?
So what it does is, when you normal summon it, you also have another option to summon it from your hand by sending something from the hand or field to the graveyard, but you don't want to necessarily do that. If you normal summon the Ice Ryzeal, you get to special summon out another Ryzeal from your deck to the field.
Okay, and which one would you typically select at that point in the combo?
So I would say that the best one to summon out is another card that is a grade 1 card starter. It is the Sword Ryzeal. The Sword Ryzeal is then just when it's normal or special summoned. Ice Ryzeal only triggers the special summon effect on normal summon. The Sword Ryzeal summons on any summon and searches you a light Pyro monster from your deck.
Okay, and which light Pyro monster are we going to be summoning with that effect?
I'm happy that you asked. You are going to search, not yet summon, the X Ryzeal.
Ah, okay. So now we've got three these are sort of the main pillars of the Ryzeal combos then, are they, these three? So what does X Ryzeal do?
X Ryzeal summons itself from hand. It is another level 4 monster, of course, by sending an Exceeds monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. There are multiple cards that you can send that make sense. You can start off with one of your extra deck monsters of the Ryzeal archetype that is not a light or a dark monster, that helps you play around Bestials a little bit.
Smart.
And there's also other cards that give value to your graveyard. Like, for example, Mariologic Aggregator. And once you send that card to the grave, you summon out the X, and X is going to add you another Ryzeal card.
Okay, so getting all these Ryzeal effect monsters on the field is a good way of getting into some of these Xyz monsters. But what are some of those Xyz monsters that we're likely to see?
Yeah, so there are two.
Okay.
And I assume that we're going to see both of them. So first off, we're starting with Duo Drive.
Okay.
So you thought Sword Ryzeal was a good searcher. You thought Ice Ryzeal was a good searcher. But Duo Drive actually lets you search 2 cards.
Hence the duo in Duo Drive. God, it all makes sense.
It is a hint. In Germany, we say, now it becomes a shoe. Which
okay, right. Okay, so with reading the effect of this, so this says, for each material this card has, monsters you control gain 100 attack, and monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack. You can only use one of the following effects of Ryzeal Duo Drive once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can attach one Ryzeal monster from your graveyard to this card as material. During your main phase, you can detach 2 materials from a monster you control, and if you do, add 2 Ryzeal cards with different names from your deck to your hand. So these are the duo that we're going to be searching. Now, what cards in this combo do you typically search?
So typically, you always want to have Ryzeal Cross.
Okay.
This field spell has everything except for another search, but I mean, we have talked about it before. There are more than enough searches in the deck. Basically, everything searches something, so you're fine on that side.
Okay.
Ryzeal Cross is absolutely insane. So you can put 2 of your Ryzeal cards from your graveyard onto the bottom of your deck to draw a card every turn, which is amazing. But the other effect is completely insane. So this is also how you play around Nibiru, by the way. This card actually lets your opponent activate a monster effect, or when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can negate it in the resolve by detaching an Exceeds material that you have.
In the resolve?
In the resolve.
So explain how that's going to get you around Nibiru, for instance.
So your opponent says, activate Nibiru. And you're like, cool, activation is fine. I don't want to chain anything. Do you want to chain anything? And they're like, I have this Mystical Space Typhoon in my hand, but now that you haven't activated anything, I'm not gonna use it. And then you're like, okay, let's resolve the chain links. Chain link 1, Nibiru. I'm gonna negate that with my Ryzeal Cross. And then your opponent got caught off guard, has destroyed your Ryzeal Cross, and they're not going to resolve the Nibiru.
Okay, so a very, very strong field spell there. So that's one of the cards that you can search, but there are 2 other potential ones to search.
So there's, of course, also the Quick Spell Ryzeal plugin, which is basically a Quick Spell Reborn card that also summons back from banishment and then takes a rank 4 monster and puts it under your rank 4 monster that you just summoned back.
Oh, so you add more materials, which, I mean, that's going to be relevant to the other Xyz monsters we're going to talk about, but then what's the third card?
The third card is the Ryzeal Plasma Hole.
Okay, a trap card. So what's Ryzeal Plasma Hole about?
So this card checks how many Ryzeal Exceeds monsters you have on your field, and then you can target as many monsters as Exceeds monsters you have on your opposing side and destroy them.
Wow.
And there's also a nasty graveyard effect.
Really? What's the graveyard effect?
Yes, you can banish it from the graveyard, send it straight into banishment, and then you're allowed to Exceed summon via a quick effect.
Wow.
Which means that you can dodge something like an Effect Veiler or an Infinite Impermanence.
Wow. So these are very versatile cards that you can search entirely off Ryzeal Duo Drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty good with just Duo Drive. But then let's have a look at this second Xyz monster that Ryzeals have.
Oh yeah, we have the Ryzeal Detonator.
Okay, very good, yeah.
And this one, you can summon with 2+ level 4 Ryzeal monsters. So Ryzeal Duo Drive can be summoned with any level 4 monsters, which is very important. So you can play any engine you want if you need more cards. Where I think Ryzeal cards might actually be enough to get into your rank 4s. But Ryzeal Detonator needs those Ryzeal monsters, and it has a crazy effect. So the first quick effect is that every time your opponent activates a card, you get to detach 1 card and destroy a card on the field.
Wow, really? So that's why having extra Xyz materials off the back of Plasma Hole would actually probably be really good for this. Okay.
And this one even gives itself more material. When it's special summon, it attaches something from the graveyard.
Good grief. So you can really just have it loaded with materials ready to pop all of these effects then.
Yep. And also, if a Xyz monster would be destroyed, you can also remind yourself of Dingirsu, of the Orcus. You can detach a card, no destruction happening.
Wow. So that is an incredibly useful card. And considering this whole deck has this great synergy with level 4s and rank 4s, very easy to get into this and disrupt your opponent.
Yeah. And there's also cool combos that you can play with those cards. For example, with the Detonator, if your opponent tries to take it away because you have activated your Veiler or your Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, and they're going to say, hey, triple tactic talents, I want to have your Ryzeal Detonator. You can chain your Detonator, destroy itself, and then later on activate Ryzeal plugin to summon it back out after the talents has resolved.
Wow, good grief. So this is just all the sort of main Ryzeal cards all coming together in one brilliant sort of flow.
Yeah, there's also Palm Ryzeal and Node Ryzeal, which are basically monsters that do not add too many searches or something. They're just very good monsters that special summon.
Okay, and these are just to get more level 4s out in the field to get into more Xyz.
Yeah, because you can search them with the X Ryzeal. X Ryzeal needs to add a Fire Thunder monster, and Node and Palm are those.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so this all together works pretty well. So you basically want to start off with Ice, but you can start with Sword if that's in your hand. And then all of these just help link into each other and then build an amazing field.
To be honest, you can also start with X, summon it, get Node or Palm, summon those out, and then you just overlay into Ryzeal Duo Drive and search more cards. You can get a Cross, and you haven't even normal summoned in that combo. Then you can get Ice Ryzeal, and you can get the other cards going. So there is plenty of options. Basically, everything in this deck is a good starter.
Good grief. So this is only one of the 3 that are in crossover breakers of these different archetypes.